what I'm discussing at that point that I was interrupted is the requirement for canned goods from the Philippines, sardines, preserved food. The main draw for these products actually are they are Christian. In the Middle East, specifically the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, the requirement for halal is not only for Muslim. It is a requirement in technically certified halal. So therefore, such as say meat products, corned beef, someone is a Christian and buying such product from the grocery store, from the supermarket, they would have to be certified halal. So this has become a draw for Philippine products halal. This is what probably has driven many of our programs for export promotion of halal. Of course, we have to go beyond that. We have to go beyond the Filipino consuming. Our main market for halal is Middle East. So we have much less of products marketed in the near in halal, but we don't have much of that because the draw for Philippine halal products are into Middle East. That is following the OFW, the Filipino consumers that are based in halal consuming countries or countries where halal is a requirement for food. So, and this is basically to look into the raw materials that are being processed into food. If you, for instance, we start with animal feeds. Animal feeds should be halal, meaning because some animal feeds are contaminated with non-halal ingredients. So therefore, we have to make sure that when we produce meat for used for processing, they have to be fed with halal feeds. So the farm inputs has to be halal, and next would be that these commodities, when they go out of the farms, livestock, for instance, even aquaculture, crops, and so on and so forth, they are halal. And then they go to the abattoir, or probably they are being kept in cold storages. They would have to be again certified halal. And then the halal chicken, for instance, that are produced in poultry dressing plants, they have to be halal. And then they are brought into the manufacturing. At this point, the DTI will now be taking the cudgel to make sure that these are halal because they are already being processed into finished products. And for some reasons, for some good purposes, strategically, for business reasons, when they are brought into restaurants, into food lanes, and other end market, they probably are taken care of by some means through the Department of Tourism or even with the DTI at that point. So what would halal to make sure that the products are halal? What DA did is to come up with the standards. We have an office called the Bureau of Agri-Fisheries Standards. The Bureau of Agri-Fisheries Standards is the one making sure that agri raw materials that are being fed into the market, both for manufacturing and for direct consumption, should pass halal standards. So the Department of Agriculture came up with PNS that were done by. We have the first halal, the BAFS 101 2016. This is a standard on halal agriculture and fisheries products. I would like to show to you an example of this one. Probably would be interested, participants for this conference would be interested. We have copies of those standards. I hope they're done is on, it's a broad standards on on agriculture and fisheries products. This is with explanatory brochures. And the second standard that was done is PNS for ruminants. So we have done these standards. Actually, this follows the global standard. Of course, when we mean global standard, we mean with reference to the Sharia requirement for slaughtering. Similarly, we also did the same effort for poultry. So we have come up with PNS, Agri-Fishery Standards 103. This is the halal slaughtering practices, because typically if it's only about household, there would have been no necessity for such a standards, because every Muslim should know. It's a very simple process. You just use a very sharp knife cutting. You just say Bismillahi, Allahu Akbar. That's a simple process, and just allow the animal to die naturally from the slaughtering. So if this is the process, every Muslim should know. For chicken, for instance, I think when you have become a mature Muslim, there would be no need for a technical document for you to understand what a halal chicken is all about. In fact, the minimum requirements, zabiha means the blood has been fully drained. Probably even a Christian would do the slaughtering, but the requirement is that the blood should be fully drained. That's zabiha. So the halal standards requires that a Muslim should do it, not a Christian, not a Jew, not a Buddhist. But for blood has been fully drained, there is no necessity for the ritual. But with a standard that is instituted, that is specifically put into the requirement. The same requirement, slaughtering halal standards for slaughtering both four-legged animal and two-legged animal. And these are cow, carabao, some others, four-legged animals except pork, and others that are specifically mentioned. You cannot touch a pork. That's other limitations. That's a difference. The next standard that is done by the agricultural Philippine producers of halal feeds, if they want to market their product as being halal feeds, therefore they have to follow the halal standards. The basic requirement is that there should be no blood and no blood of pork, some derivatives from pork. So halal feeds for animal, for fishery and others should be halal. So this is covered by PNS AFS 139. And then the next standard that was done is specific on production of goat. There was some advocacy for more goat coming from Philippines. Some were imagining they can sell in Brunei or sell in Malaysia. These are the nearest country, or even Singapore, where there are requirements for goats, especially during Hari Raya. So they would want it that they would have a production of goat. So we did the standards for goat production. So from feeds up to the point that it should be processed. The other halal standard DA did is the PNS 101 of 2016. Well, of course, I was already mentioning about that. So the main thing here is for raw materials for human consumption, eventually, both wild and farm produced, when they are processed, packaged, and distributed, the DA's role is to make sure that these raw material are halal. If they are for market, they should be halal. If this is to be specifically addressing a requirement for halal consumers. So DA's role is on regulatory. So what we promote is that there should be specific compliance to certain raw materials for food. So we have already set out the standards. So if anyone would want to venture out into farm production of raw materials, if you intend to do serve halal manufacturing, halal direct consumers, then you visit our office. We have the halal office. We provide you with the guidelines, and we can even assist you. The technical support of DA would be available. And the halal program is also a cross-cutting program. It interfaces with various DA programs. Imagine the whole of the agriculture sector. We produce rice, corn, livestock. DA halal program is cross-cutting, meaning all other DA program in some way or the other have a portion of it that focuses on halal. The focus on halal production is that the DA would help in terms of technical support, in terms of primary support. Let's say, for instance, if you're interested in producing goat, if you intend to have those goat marketed to halal consuming countries like Brunei, as imagined by many, this has been a talk about 20 years ago, Philippines exporting goat to Brunei because Brunei is exporting goat or sheep from Australia. So we thought we can do it. If you are interested in that, we have a livestock program to support you. The livestock program can provide you with certain primary assistance, like probably you needed a startup, you needed to access financing. We have interest-free financing. We have halal financing program in DA. All DA financing, or very few, would be interest-bearing, many of which are halal financing program. You can apply for a loan, or there are various loan programs. So these are interrelated to the halal program. If you're into rice and then you are using fertilizer, so we make sure that the fertilizer is halal. So your rice is as well halal. Or corn, if you want to gram, are halal, have a halal component. That's how it is. I don't know how in terms of percentage. So DA assist halal farm production of basic raw material. We provide support in terms of various laboratories, food labs all over the country. If you want to have your product to be sure it is halal, like your beef is halal or what, like in terms of the feeds that were used. So you come to us, we will be able to support you. So DA does a total halal program for agriculture. It's not just regulating, but it's also into production. So on this note, in behalf of Secretary William Dar, we hope we could be of help to each and every one of you. Meanwhile, at the end of my presentation, after the formal presentation done by the staff, what I would want to say is that if we really want to make sure that halal as an industry succeeds, let us look at local consumption. This is where it should begin. Before we think of the big export market, we always start with presentation of a global market for halal. This is $7 billion, so on and so forth. Set that aside for the moment. Let us look at what the consuming public are, halal consuming public in the Philippines. There are, I don't know if it's 20 million Muslim Filipinos that can be affirmed by the NCMF. The NCMF handles that sector. There probably are other halal consumers for health reason, because halal is good for health. There are Seventh-day Adventists. They do also consume halal. Probably there are Jews in Manila. There are lots of them probably, or in Davao. So we look at the consumption for halal locally, and let us meet that. Imagine when you are in Metro Manila as a Muslim, how do you access halal products? Let's say you needed beef, you needed chicken, you needed some other product. So when we are focused on the local consumption, we can now shift into the bigger market. Imagine, for instance, how did McDo become a global product? It started in a small community, in a small town in the US. And then after people thought that it's really a good product, if we really want halal to succeed, and eventually it will become acceptable elsewhere, because when Muslims, therefore, acceptable to the Arabs, to the Turkish, to the Iranians, to whoever in the Middle East. So that's how I propose, before I forget, Undersecretary Makatuman. This is such a, and we wish to congratulate as well the Secretary.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ampatuan.